more interesting. I mean, Bob and we.
No, don't do that. Easy.
All right, well, we worked through a couple of decisions on the roster. First off, we've informed Elliot Johnson that he'll make the opening day roster, and then told Jeff Francoeur and Matt Carson that they will not be with us opening day. And so as part of that, we're working with Jeff to help him find a Major League opportunity elsewhere. Matt will remain in the organization and stay in Major League camp and stay with us for the next week or so. And I think that covers most of the official news. So happy to answer any questions. And then the other thing, we just confirmed with Vinnie Pestano that he's on the team as well.
Is this a reflection on Bourne that you think he'll be ready for opening day?
No, this was just about how we put the best roster together for us at this point with the information we have. So we're still working through the situation with Borney, and we'll see whether or not he'll be ready.
With how Francoeur played in camp and just the kind of guy he is, how difficult was
it? Was really tough. Jeff had a really good camp. We're all confident that he can help a Major League team. It's just as we, for us, a lot of the decisions come to how do we put all the pieces together and not individually who may be the best player. And so Elliot had a great camp. His versatility helps us expand our bench, gives us a lot of different options. He, along with Mike Aviles, are a great complement to the guys that we have. But talking with Jeff was one of the hardest conversations we had, not only because of the player he is, but the person. Really challenging to come to a new organization and fit in as well as he did, really from day one. And he's got a lot of fans here, including Tito, me, and a lot of the guys in the clubhouse. So it made it really hard. We're hoping he lands on his feet somewhere.
Chris, how encouraged and impressed were you with the camp Vinnie had this spring?
It's been great to see. I think Vinnie was on a mission at the end of last offseason to begin working to get back to the pitcher we all saw for the better part of his career. And he's coming to camp and in a really good spot, from day one. The cut is back on his fastball. His slider's had good shape to it. He's commanding his pitches pretty well. So it's been a really encouraging camp for Vinnie. He's been a big part of our success in the past, and we're looking forward to him contributing this year.
You want to flip over to Terry, or anything else for Chris?
Is there anything up with him?
Matt won't be ready for opening day, so he'll likely start on the AAA DL in all likelihood.
What about Giambi? Is there, will he open on the DL?
He's one of those guys where we're still uncertain. It's less likely that he opens on the active roster, just because of the time we have left and where he is in his return to play progression. But we haven't entirely ruled it out yet. But I would say it's less likely than more likely.
Is he a guy that you would have to put on the roster and then DL because of having to make a decision on him?
We have to make a decision because he was a 20B free agent. We have to make a decision by the 25th of whether or not we will add him to the roster for opening day. Any other questions before I turn it over to Tito?
Do you expect a decision on the rotation in the next couple days, or?
That's our goal. We're going to meet as a staff again tomorrow morning, and hopefully we get a little bit more clarity, at least on some of the decisions after that, but there's still the possibility we may not have the final roster set after tomorrow. Because again, there's some fluid situations with injuries and where guys are. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm the brains of the organization.
Terry, with Pestano being on now, is that you still have one more spot in the bullpen, right?
We need to work through. Like Chris said, there's some things that are kind of fluid. I think you guys have been around long enough to see one move can kind of maybe affect another move, even a position player. Health. Makeup of our roster, we're just trying to put together our best 25 leaving camp while maintaining depth in the organization and trying to do everything for the best interest of our organization. So saying that, we spoke to a lot of guys today. Some we had to deliver news that was not very much fun. Some was really good. And others we told that we understand their level of anxiety. They've done so well to this point that we have some decisions that aren't made yet. But the one thing we wanted to convey to that group was they, to a person, show up every day, do everything you ask, try their best, and they've had really good camps, and it's made our decision-making tough in a good way, but that we thought they deserved not only the respect and the honesty, but for us being conscientious, we just thought we should visit with them.
When it comes to somebody like Francoeur, what do you do to help him? Do you call people or?
We would probably do whatever we could, you know, right at the moment, you know, you let the dust settle a little bit, let him take a deep breath. I think he's very aware that if he wanted somebody to speak on his behalf, both Chris and I would probably jump at the opportunity. That's kind of how we feel. He made quite an impact on our team in a spring training setting, which is not easy to do. And it was one of the more difficult conversations I'm sure Chris and I both had.
With Vinnie, was that a guy you were pretty intrigued to see what he was gonna look like this spring?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. I mean, it's a guy that's, you know, carried a heavy load, you know, first couple years of his career, and then last year we've all talked about what happened and, you know, what happened. So trying to get Vinnie back to a guy that can help us win games is really, that'll be really helpful.
What did Johnson do to make the club to you?
Well, I kind of come back to one of the things he said to you guys, where he wanted to earn trust at every position, and he really did that. You know, it's easy when guys are getting hits to talk about him because they're on base and they're doing things, but you know, he complements our roster very well. As Chris kind of said, you know, we have he and Avilas that we're really comfortable moving all over the field. And in Elliot's case, you have a guy that can pinch run. He's a switch hitter. He can play all the positions and play them well. That makes your 25-man roster a little bit bigger.
How mature is a guy like he? I mean, he talks about how he knows he's not an everyday guy, but he knows he provides value to a team. I mean, just for someone to talk about themselves like that.
You know, a lot of guys aren't good self-evaluators, and you know what, to be honest, I'm not sure. Sometimes it's hard to be a good self-evaluator and go out there and play. You know, if your arm hurts or, you know, I think you got to be a little bit of a used car salesman. and our job is to evaluate. But in his case, I think he does a really good job of it. He understands his responsibilities, what can make him good. And guys like Elliot can have a long career. It may not be exactly what they envisioned when they were growing up, but they can have a long, successful, good career.
Tito, your words itself was a player where you've been caught in, you know, kind of a bunch of different areas. What is it like for these guys who are dealing with that at kind of this point of your career? You're talking Francoeur, Johnson, or, you know, what's their mindset?
It's different for everybody. I don't think you can talk about anybody's mindset because they're the only ones that know. Everybody's wound different. Mm-hmm. But we noticed that, you know, and there's some anxiety in, you know, watching guys go about their business. And we thought that the quicker we could talk to guys, even if we couldn't give them total clarity, mm-hmm. I think that, you know, that would be helpful. I know as a player, it was really noticeable to me when somebody talked to me straight and upfront and honest. You know, it wasn't always the news you wanted to hear, but you would respect it in the end.
I suppose just when